Thank you, John, for having me.
You've been on a few times before. We
few.
appreciate that. And you work a little bit different than George does,
I do.
don't you? Tell us how you work.
It's kind of like your loved ones. Everybody brings a whole family in. So I kind of see people standing by you. Some jump, some get my attention in different ways. And just because you don't hear from your loved one, please don't think they're not with you, because they are. So I just tap in, and there's a whole room full in this room.
So they're trying to talk to you as we speak now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And how does this work? Are they coming to you with images,
you could
with
feel
words?
Yeah, it's either I get a funky sound through like a tube.
Funk is like the word of the day, isn't it?
Well, that's why I ask, please don't talk when I'm giving messages, because I don't know if I'm hearing them or I'm hearing you, actually. Some come in very clearly. Others, they take a little bit.
And you've been doing this for a long time.
Really all my life.
All your life.
Yeah.
Okay, so now all your life you've probably read thousands of people, right?
Yeah.
Are there any like freaky moments that you've had as a psychic?
The best freaky moment I've ever had is with my husband. We went to Albuquerque, and
with your husband?
He knows I know I do this. And I was so happy because finally he got to be freaked out. We were at Church Street Cafe, and they had just filmed there for History Channel. And there's a spirit there, Sarah, and she stays there all the time. And we talked about the owner's brother taking over one night, and she said, well, make sure you say good night to Sarah. And he chose not to. So it took him about an hour and a half to realize he's got to say good night to this spirit, or they're not going to give him his keys. So there was a couple of waitresses that waited with him. He waited about an hour and a half. All of a sudden he says, all right, good night, Sarah. The keys appeared on the table. They lost 2 waitresses that night. They just never came back. Then my husband, we had dinner, and we left the restaurant. Nothing looked the same. And I couldn't understand, how come we can't find out where we're at? I am bad in direction. My husband is awesome in direction. We could not find our van. We walked out to the left. There's a circle in the middle of town. So I know we had to go left, but it didn't look right. So we come out of the restaurant. We start walking, and Jeff goes, it doesn't look right. I said, you know what? Forget, I'll never find it. And they said, well, you're psychic. You should bring it up. When you're in that fear mode, you can't find anything. So finally, we walked about an hour and a half, and somebody said, you just passed town. You got to go back that way. And my husband looks at me, and then all of a sudden I get this funky feeling. And he says, well, I said, did you do anything in the restaurant? He said, well, yeah. In the men's room, there's a chalkboard, and it says, my best girl is Sarah. He thought it was funny, so he erased Sarah and put Christy Brinkley.
Oh, gee.
We had to go back to the restaurant, and it was so funny because I know the owner. We talked many times. Went back to the restaurant, and I said, you ain't going to believe what he did. And she goes, what did he do? I said, he needs to go in the restroom. He went in the restroom, erased it, put Sarah, we came out, we looked left, there's our van. So I was so glad it happened to him.
Wow.
And he was really afraid the rest of the vacation because we drove out. So we went 66, so we've seen a lot of spirits.
So that made him even a deeper believer.
Scared more.
Yeah.
More, I'm not going
more.
with you. Don't tell me. He never asked anymore. Are you getting a feel? No, don't want to know. Don't want to know. Because he really gets feeling. He gets it too.
Now,
He's just afraid of it.
Can they hurt us, these spirits?
No, not the ones that I work with. I always work with the light. If you work with the light, it's all about, you know, I work with the loved ones on the other side. When I was a kid, I always heard things that other people didn't hear. And my uncle said to my mother, she's got a really good imagination. No, I've seen these kids, especially kids. I've seen a lot of kids. And so I was raised in a very high crime area, which was Arbor Hill, so there was a lot of stuff that used to go on down there. But, you know, you get to a point where, okay, I'm seeing it, I'm hearing it, but nobody else is seeing it. Then you start really worrying. But my dad was into this, so he kind of calmed my fears. My mother, no, she would never.
She was not having it.
Oh, no. No, because every time she felt it, things happened to her, and she was afraid of it.
So do you know what she feels about it now that because she's passed, right?
She's passed, yes.
Is she more, does she understand it more that she's passed?
Actually, the first time I seen them together, I hadn't seen my father for 40 years. And my mother's been gone for 32. And I never ever seen them until about, I want to say about 20 years ago when they were together. And all of a sudden I woke up, and at the end of my bed, I see this couple stand there, and I knew it was my parents. I did the most stupid thing. I really got up and went over to hug them, and they disappear.
Oh.
So what I said, okay, if you come back, I swear I won't try to touch you, because if you try to touch spirit, they'll run. You can't touch them. So that was one lesson I learned the hard way. But I have had communication, but not a lot, because sometimes my dad will play, and then I'll say, I know it's him.